My dad had always been fascinated by parrots. Growing up, he'd marvel at their intelligence and vibrant feathers on wildlife documentaries, their chatter in aviaries, and their amusing mimicry in pet shops. He never stopped talking about how incredible it would be to own one someday. But someday was always far away, until he turned 50. By then, life had slowed down for him. Retirement was on the horizon, and with it came the opportunity to finally fulfill that dream. After months of researching, he bought himself an African gray parrot. He named him Kevin. From the moment Kevin entered our lives, he became more than just a bird. To my dad, Kevin was a companion. He didn't just teach him words. He spent hours working with him to help him grasp meanings. Kevin quickly learned to say, "Hello," "What's up," "Thank you," and even his own name. But it wasn't just the words. Kevin seemed to understand the context in which they were used. My dad would grin ear to ear as Kevin greeted visitors or thanked him after a meal. The bond between my dad and Kevin grew so strong that it felt like they could read each other's minds. Kevin even picked up on my dad's moods, adjusting his behavior depending on whether my dad was happy, tired, or frustrated. They were inseparable. When my dad passed away at 70, it was a devastating blow. As my siblings and I packed up his belongings, Kevin's cage sat in the corner of the living room like a haunting reminder of the man who had loved him so dearly. The question loomed: what would happen to Kevin? Neither my brother nor sister wanted him. They had busy households, young kids, and spouses who weren't on board with the idea of adopting a parrot. I couldn't bear the thought of giving him to a stranger. Kevin was more than a pet. He was my dad's legacy, a living, breathing part of him. So I decided to take Kevin home with me. I set up Kevin's cage in the den, the quietest part of my house. It was the lowest level, snug and out of the way where Kevin could have his peace. He adjusted to his new environment quickly, his chatter filling the mornings and his silence providing comfort in the evenings. We developed a routine. I'd spend time with him after work, sitting in the den and watching TV while he perched contentedly in his cage. At 10 p.m., I'd head upstairs to bed, leaving him in the dark to sleep. When Kevin got too noisy, I'd drape a blanket over his cage and he'd settle down almost immediately. For 2 years, this routine remained constant, a source of comfort and stability for both of us. Then came that December night. It was late, around 11 p.m., when Kevin's frantic squawking yanked me from sleep. At first, I thought it was part of a dream, but as I groggily opened my eyes, his distressed cries continued, echoing through the quiet house. Kevin wasn't just squawking, he was shouting words. "Hello. What's up? Kevin?" Something about his tone was wrong. There was a sharpness, an urgency that sent chills down my spine. Kevin never made noise this late at night. I threw off the covers and stumbled out of bed, my heart already racing. I left my bedroom door open every night in case something unusual happened. I lived alone, and it gave me peace of mind. Now the open door seemed like a dark, gaping maw leading to uncertainty. Descending the stairs, I called out softly, "Kevin? What's wrong, buddy?" When I reached the den, I found him on the lower perch of his cage, a spot he rarely occupied. His feathers were puffed up, his head bobbing nervously as he swayed back and forth. "Hello!" he squawked, louder this time. "What's up?" I flicked on the light, scanning the room. At first glance, everything seemed normal. The furniture was untouched, the windows were secure, and Kevin's cage was intact. But Kevin wasn't calming down. Then I noticed the pantry door. It was slightly ajar. My stomach dropped. I always kept that door closed. I moved closer, my pulse pounding in my ears. My hand hovered over the light switch outside the pantry door, hesitating. My breath came in short, shallow bursts as dread crept over me. I flicked the switch, illuminating the glass panel in the door. What I saw made my blood run cold. Through the glass, I could see the outline of a person crouched inside, For a moment, time seemed to freeze. My mind raced. Was this real? Was I imagining it? But the figure shifted slightly, erasing any doubts. There was someone in my house. Adrenaline surged through me, overriding my fear. Without thinking, I yanked the pantry door open and screamed, "Get out of my house!" The man inside stumbled backward, his eyes wide with shock. He was in his 50s, disheveled and dirty, with a smell that hit me like a wall. His face was gaunt, his clothes torn and stained. He looked desperate. Before I could react further, he lunged at me. We collided and I fell back, grappling to keep him away. His hands clawed at me as I struggled to overpower him. Kevin was going berserk in his cage, squawking and flapping his wings, the noise adding to the chaos. I managed to shove the man to the floor, pinning him down with all my strength. "Who are you? What are you doing here?" I shouted, my voice shaking. He didn't answer, just thrashed beneath me, his hands reaching for my face. I punched him, hard, and grabbed my phone from the nearby table. With one hand, I held him down. With the other, I dialed 911. The operator's voice was calm and steady, guiding me through the panic. I relayed my address and the situation, my grip on the intruder never loosening. Minutes felt like hours as I waited for the police. When they finally arrived, the red and blue lights flashing through the windows, relief washed over me. The officers pulled the man off me and handcuffed him. He didn't resist, his energy spent. The aftermath was a blur. The police searched the house and confirmed that the man had broken in through a basement window. He had raided the pantry, leaving behind opened jars of peanut butter, scattered crackers, and cans tipped over on the floor. He had no ID, no possessions, nothing. He was homeless, they said, likely looking for food. As the officers escorted him out, I turned to Kevin. He was perched silently now, watching me with his intelligent eyes. I walked over to his cage, opened the door, and stroked his feathers gently. "Thank you, Kevin," I whispered, my voice thick with emotion. That night I realized just how much Kevin meant to me. He wasn't just a bird, he was a protector, a guardian in his own way. Without him, I might have slept through the entire ordeal, oblivious to the danger just feet away. Kevin had saved me. And in some small way, I like to think it wasn't just him. It was my dad, watching over me through his loyal companion. From that day forward, I cherished Kevin even more, not just as a connection to my dad, but as a hero in his own right.